Ankita, I'll do that, don't worry. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good afternoon. Now check, Vivek. I've enabled it from here. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Vivek, ask me the question here. If you don't have the feature still, ask me the question here. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We'll wait 1 more minute and then we'll start. I'm waiting for a question. We have to start classical dances. Just to repeat what we've done before the break. Natya Shastra, two basic classification into two basic types. Lasya, Tandava. Lasya means the bhav, ras, abhinay, basically emotion and drama. On the other hand, we have rhythm and movement, which is Tandava. On the other hand, Abhinay Darpan by Nandikeshwar talks about Nrita, Natya, Nritya. Nrita is rhythmic movement devoid of any expression and mood. Natya is the storytelling of the dance recital. And Nritya would be sentiment and emotions invoked during a dance. It could be the mudras in the dance. Basically, this is emotion. And this is your drama part, storytelling. We've already done this in the last session. Now we come to classical dances. Now a very standard question which comes in the examination, prelims exam standard question which comes is state and classical dance. Which state does it come from? Standard question, not a very difficult question. And half of the questions can be answered to this only. So you have Tamil Nadu, Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Andhra Pradesh. Kathakali and Mohiniyattam come from the same state, which is Kerala. Odissi, the easiest. Odisha, Manipur. Kathak, UP. Satariya, Assam. This is a standard thing which can be asked in the examination. 1, 2, 3 questions can come from this area. Elimination. This can be managed easily. Not very difficult. 8 and 8 states in which you don't have to worry about Kathakali and Mohiniyattam. Both are from the same state itself. Now, when we talk about other type of questions, there can be statement-based questions on 3 aspects of the dance. Unique feature. Thereafter, you would also have to know, or you would have to know, the concept of origin. And one would be a very standard question on basic features. And every dance has its origin, its unique feature, and its basic feature. Unique feature would be that one feature which should automatically bring that type of dance in your mind. And basic and origin is what we are going to teach. So therefore, in a way, you have to know a little bit about the dances. So let's talk about Bharatanatyam. Now, Bharatanatyam, coming from Tamil Nadu, mentioned in the Natya Shastra itself. Bharatanatyam, it means bhav, ras, and tal, rag, everything together. But its origin is what is very interesting, which is Bharatanatyam comes from a tradition of Sadir, which is linked to Dasi Attam. Dasi Attam or Sadir is linked to the Dev Dasi tradition. And has a very long but troubled history also. The origin of this dance is actually in the temples of Tamil Nadu. And during the ancient, rather the early medieval period, there used to be a tradition that women were associated with the temple as dancers who are basically very important for certain traditions, certain ceremonies in which they dance. And they are called Dev Dasi. Dev means God, Dasi meaning servant. So they were the Dasi of the Dev, standard Bhakti concept, which is that you are so linked to God that you are Dev Dasi. But over a period of time, and during the colonial period, by the time we come to modern India, the Dev Dasi tradition became a little bit exploitative. Women were not given access to leave this tradition. There were issues related to gender divide. And therefore, Dev Dasi tradition was thereafter, or the Dasi Attam. Dasi Attam is when there's a group dance, Sadir is when there's solo dance. When a woman one woman dances is called Sadir. When more than 2 dances is called Dasi Attam. But all of them are called Dev Dasi itself. Now the concept is that during the colonial period, it got banned because it was seen as a problematic aspect of the temple tradition. And there's a very good chance that Dasi Attam, or what now we call as Bharatanatyam, would have got into a period of extinction or would have totally become obscure. Nobody would have actually known about it itself. And that is why these dances are called classical, because they have a very long antiquity, a very long history. And today they are relevant across the world itself. Folk dances are regional, classical dances are, in a way, very important for the nation as its identity. And across the world they are known. So it's about the scale. So Bharatanatyam, which has its origin in the Dasi Attam tradition, will be revived by a freedom fighter, E. Krishna Iyer, very important, who will thereafter revive this declining form And initially, it was only female dancers. During the modern period, it will be that male can also become a part of the Bharatanatyam tradition. But the global recognition to Bharatanatyam is going to come under Rukmini Devi Arundale. She is recognized by the UN also, and she is the most world recognized Bharatanatyam dancer in that regard. Now, when we talk about Bharatanatyam as a dance, it can be done in group, it can be done in solo. First point is origin. Anybody has any issue in origin? Because we will work in these basic concepts. Origin, basic concepts, basic features, and the concept of unique features. Anybody has any issue related to Devdasi tradition? Again, the concept of Devdasi tradition being problematic and how it gets banned, and it is E. Krishna Iyer who will revive it. Anybody has any issue here? Have to be more vocal, had your lunch, come on. No. Now, let's talk about the basic features. Let's talk about the basic features. Now, the simple basic feature would be, firstly, the Tamil silk sari, which in itself is an iconic sari that way. By looking at the sari itself, you can make out which state it is. But when we talk about Bharatanatyam, there are 2 to 3 very interesting features. Firstly, is called the bent knee. The bent knee. This is a unique feature and a feature which very simply is specific to Bharatanatyam, which is that you will bend your knee quite a lot. Both knees are bent at most point of times when standing straight. The second would be what are called hand mudras. Hand mudras. These hand mudras have their meaning, and they are a very important part of the expression, the last part. The other would be storytelling. The fact is that through hand mudras plus eye movements plus dance, they tell you a story. They tell you a story. Anybody can tell me which dance this is? Can anybody tell me which dance this is? This is nothing but Tandava. This is nothing but Shiv Tandav. This pose is the iconic Tandav pose. Now you can see throughout the act, she has every time a specific type of mudra in her hand. Further, the bent knee. What is equally interesting, which is in the Nataraj pose, is her eyes, the expression. The expression. The point of appreciation of Bharatanatyam is eyes, hand, and the feet movement all have to come together. And that way, it is a very difficult dance to learn and do. This dance is a manifestation or is compared to fire dance, which is that the dancer embodies the flame of fire. So that is why the movements reflect that. Last set Tandava, both are emphasized. The most common hand mudra is called the Kataka Mukha Hasta, which is this. Don't have to learn, do not learn. And knees are mostly bent. Most famous proponents, Yamini Krishnamurti, we know Rukmini Devi Arundale, Malika Sarabhai, and Padma Subramaniam. You can learn one more if needed. Eyes, feet, legs should be not in same direction but in sync, that the movement of the eyes and hands actually work together. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make one slide on which I'm writing all the major things. Origin, Sadir, Dasi Attam, feature, flame dance, or rather resembles the flame, hand plus feet plus eye movement, unique feature, bent knee. Anybody has any issue in this? This is how you make notes. This is how you make notes. No, now it is female and male both. Female and male both. Resembles the flame means, have you ever seen a flame, how it moves? Have you seen ever a flame, a small, वो आग को देखा है how it acts? The movement of the flame is what they match. So the flame would move left to right in a rhythmic way, the same way the dance moves. See, you would have to watch a video for this, and which I encourage you to. Once I give you a break after the dance section, you can watch 2 to 3 minutes of these, and it will help you. And if you are ready to do that, I'll give you a 10-15 minute break, not an issue. But the point is, you have to see it to understand it. Why was it banned in British era? Because of the fact that it got related to exploitation, and women did not have access to leave the temple tradition if they wanted to. Whatever is written on the slide is more than enough. If it is clear, we'll move to the next one. Flame means chingari, yes, chingari, aag, jo kehna chahte ho, whatever you want to call it. Can we move to the next one? Kuchipudi. Now, Kuchipudi has its origin in Andhra Pradesh, and the word comes from the group of actors, mostly male actors, who used to go around from village to village. They were called the Kuchelvas, and they used to come from a village called Kuchelapuram or Kuselvapuram. That is the word Kuchi comes from. Later, it will become a little bit off guard, migration will become a problem. So, in the 17th century, a person called Siddhendra Yogi is going to formalize this dance. And within the play tradition, the theatre tradition of Andhra Pradesh, it will get integrated. And initially, it was monopolized by male Brahmins who were called the Bhagavatalus. Now, women also do Kuchipudi. But it was initially monopolized by male Brahmins related to the Bhagavad Puran tradition itself. So, when we talk about Kuchipudi, its origin is in the Andhra village of Kuchelapuram. And the Kuselvas are the ones who gave the word Kuchipudi. Later, Siddhendra yogi institutionalized the dance and was mostly male Brahmins who used to do it, which is Bhagavatalus. Bhagavatalus. But now it is both female and male. Now, when we look at the dance, the dance again, iconic Andhra silk, and you can see that the basic way of what we call as expressions change. The bent knee is gone, no bent knee. That is not part of this dance itself. But what very simply this dance is known for, very difficult foot movement. Very difficult foot movement. The foot movement is extremely difficult, very, very difficult. Hand mudras are still there. But you can see that the dancer is standing more upright. Which is because the bent knee is not a part of the whole tradition itself. Now, when we talk about its basic features, we know that it is difficult movement team performance. You have the earthly element. The earth is the element which they actually personify. It will have a Carnatic music with it, patronized by the Vijayanagara rulers later. And you have, for example, Lakshmi Narayan Shastri as the most important person who made it very, very popular. But what is the unique feature? Unique feature of Kuchipudi is called Daru. It's called Daru, not Daru, but Daru. And see, Daru is that because it is a team performance, which is about storytelling. Can you have dialogues in dance? Mostly no. 99% no, you can't have dialogues. But if there are 3 to 5 different dancers who are on the stage, how they would introduce their actor or character is called Daru. Basically, they have a 3 to 5 minute small routine. Routine means dance sequence, which establishes their character and nature. Can anybody tell me what scene is this? This is Mahishasur Mardani, which is Shakti, which is goddess Durga. Now, look at her expression. Look at the body language. Now, when Mahishasur would have been introduced, the Asura would have been introduced, both would have introduced themselves in 2 to 3 minutes to establish that this is goddess Durga and this is Mahishasur. Basically, Daru is a small routine which everybody does in order to establish what character they have, be it through dance, yes. Be it good, could be bad, could be cunning, could be knowledgeable, could be anything. So yes, Daru would mean introduction. See, in a movie, when a character is introduced, his backstory is given, yes or no? When a person is introduced in a movie, his backstory is given. Now think that the backstory is given through dance. And that is what is basically Daru. Daru is when you introduce a dancer, when you introduce a character in a dance recital through dance. So you don't have to, nobody's asking you that much detail. Small composition of dance and song, choreographed to reveal each character in this whole story. So in our basic story, basic feature, unique feature, you have earth element represented and difficult foot movement, Andhra silk sarees, unique feature, Daru, introduction. Anybody have any issue here? Daru is specific to Kuchipudi. Nowhere else there will be. That's why it's a unique feature. If you see the word Daru in the examination, then you automatically notice Kuchipudi. Anybody, any issue till this point? Okay. Now we move to Kathakali. Now Kathakali and Mohiniyattam are the next two. Both come from Kerala. Kathakali is all male, no female. Very elaborate headgear and makeup. Origin in the temple tradition. And Kathakali means storytelling. So it is linked to the Kudiyattam and Kalripat. Basically, Kudiyattam is the theatre tradition of Kerala and Kalripat is the martial arts tradition. So they both mix together to produce Kathakali. It became more or less obscure, but very simply, Kuchipudi is Andhra Pradesh. How they represent earth element. By the movement of their body, it is more earth element. So Kathakali, theatre plus martial arts, and very simply, became more or less obscure by the time we come to 1930s. It will be again a very celebrated freedom fighter and Malayali poet, V.N. Menon, who is going to patronize and revive it. It's an all-male toupee. Toupee meaning have a proper costume, elaborate facial makeup, headgear, and the costumes and stories are from Ramayana, Mahabharata, and local epics The story of good versus evil. Now, Kathakali is a very difficult dance to do, a very, very difficult dance to do, which is that firstly you have very elaborate costumes, then you have very, very elaborate headgear, then you have makeup. This is also a male, this is also a male, no female. So males also play female roles. And what is Kathakali known for is its very, very, very heavy foot movement. It's called the thumping dance. The thumping dance, the thump. The heel of the dancer will always thump. It's very heavy, difficult foot movement. You argue that learning their name or their features is difficult. Imagine how hard it would be to do this dance itself. And unfortunately, the unfortunate truth is, I can guarantee to you that you have never seen this dance also. 1 to 2% of the people in this class would have actually even bothered to see it, or would have any understanding of it, or have seen it somewhere, that too in movies, but nobody would have actually put in the time or the interest to go through a Kathakali recital or even have any understanding of it. And this is the unfortunate truth of our existence as Indians, that we take interest in everything, but we don't take interest in our own culture. Because for some of you, this will be boring. I'm not telling you American culture. I'm not telling you British culture. I'm telling you about yourself. But this will seem confusing, boring, no interest. Why are we doing it? This is India, what you see. And unfortunately, most of you have not seen India. And then we act like nationalists and patriots. Because we don't take interest in our culture. Zero. Unfortunate truth. You like it, you don't like it. That is true. Because Kathakali, if you've ever seen, then you will understand how much effort goes into it. And all this makeup is not random. All this makeup is not random. Everything has a meaning. Everything has a meaning. And that meaning is linked to the color which they have. So somebody in Kerala right now is trying to preserve this tradition, which you don't care about, and very simply, no one will take interest also. Very elaborate set pieces, multiple actors, multiple jewelry, costume. The level of commitment which is needed to do this is unparalleled. And when we try to decode the colors, Kathakali is the recital of eternal conflict between good and evil. It is called the Ballad of the East, which is that it's a ballad tradition. It's a very grand tradition of dance and drama. It is a mixture of what we call as Mani Prabalam. This is a very important point. The songs which are used in Kathakali are Malayalam plus Sanskrit, which is in itself very interesting. In this, hand gestures and eye gestures or movements are out of this world, Now, every color which you see has a meaning, which is that if it is green, it means nobility, divinity, or virtue. Nobility, divinity, or virtue, which is that he's a good character. Give me 1 second. Okay. So, good character is green. And when we talk about the color, this white thing which you see here, this represents knowledge. This is the beard. Black would represent evil, red would represent evil. But what is interesting is that if you are having green color and then you're red along with your face, along the nose, it means that you are royalty. You come from royal background. Yellow and mostly the subdued colors are used for women or saints. So you see, nobility, divinity, virtue. Black is evil. Red, partial painted is or fully painted face is evil. Red beside nose is royalty. Yellow is saint or women. White beard is higher consciousness or knowledgeability. Now, can anybody tell me? Therefore, in this, you have A, you have B, you have C, you have D, you have E, and you have F. Who is royalty? Who is royalty? Who is royalty? Come on. A, D, B, A, C, D, E, C. D is royalty. How can we make that out? Only A is royalty. Very good. As we can see here, there's red besides the nose. Who is the saint? Who's the saint? Yes, F is the saint. Who is evil? Very good. E. Now you can see this. Is this person a king or not? No. Because the redness is on the lip, not on the nose. Try to understand this point. There's a difference between having red here and having red here. You are only king when your nose, besides the nose, it is red. See, nobody's asking you this. But what I want to show is how beautiful this tradition is. And everybody, if you go to a Kathakali recital, you will say, what is happening? What is the point? But you see, every character is already earmarked. Every character is already earmarked. You know, by knowing this tradition, you know this is the beauty of this tradition, and you know that, and you would know that these people don't get a lot of money. This is not mask. This is makeup, literal makeup on their face. They work day and night to keep this tradition alive, but they don't even get appreciation. And unfortunately, we don't even know the name of any of them. We will remember a random influencer or a random TikTok person who will do drama on a platform, but we know their names. But unfortunately, we don't know the name of the people who actually keep this Indian tradition alive. 8 to 9 hours they can sit to get makeup. Kantara is not Kathakali. Kantara is that is Bhutokala. That's a different tradition coming from Karnataka. That is Bhutokala. This is Kathakali. So for a UPSC aspirant, as a burden, we study this, but it is a temple tradition which has theater. All are men. Martial arts. Martial arts origin. Martial arts origin. Thereafter, basic feature, unique feature. Basic feature, heavy makeup and headgear, costumes. You have storytelling through recitals. Unique feature, unique feature. Mani Pravalam. Mani Pravalam. Mani Pravalam, Sanskrit plus Malayalam. And thumping of feet, difficult foot movement. Colors represent character. Recital means show. Anybody? Any issue in this? Yes, and one more. All male. All male. Thumping is in Kuchipudi, but watch a video, you will understand. The level of thumping is different. The level of thumping is very, very different. The heavy movement, jumping around is there a lot of Kathakali. Not in Kuchipudi. Are we clear with regards to Kathakali? Kathakali? Okay. No, the K is not missing. Kathakali. Okay. Have to say something, yes or no? Have to be more vocal. Please tell me. Okay. Now let's talk about Mohiniyattam. Comes from Kerala. Now, because Kathakali is all male, Mohiniyattam is actually all female. The Mohiniyattam origin, as you can see, this is the Kasavu sari of Kerala. Very iconic white golden border saris. But what is more interesting is its origin. Why the features of this dance are linked to its origin, or why is it called Mohiniyattam? Mohiniyattam. See, Mohiniyattam, the word Mohini comes from a very interesting phase or a very interesting epic in our mythological tradition, which is called Samudra Manthan, or the churning of the seas. And that was to basically find Amrit or immortal potion. And the first part of that story is that when the churning of the sea happens, first comes out poison, which is Vish. Now people say, who will drink this poison? Eternal poison. So it is given to Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva drinks it, and therefore he keeps it here. He never took it inside his body. That's why it's called Nilkant. The name Nilkant for Lord Shiva comes from the fact that he is the one who actually consumed the Vish, the poison out of Samudra Manthan. Now when the Asuras and the Devas, the good and the bad, churned the sea, now came out the Amrit. But the question was that if the bad Asurs also drink the Amrit, then bad will also always win over the good, or evil will always triumph over good. And therefore, now the Devas went to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu was told that if you don't do something, then good will never prevail in this world. So he will take an avatar which is called Mohini, and the Mohini avatar is the enchantress, the Maya of Lord Vishnu, wherein he will now start to enchant the Asuras. And it is believed that he started to give a fake Amrit to the Asurs from one hand, and from the other hand, he then gave Amrit to the Devas. So he needed to enchant the Asurs so that they don't realize that they are drinking fake poison, fake Amrit, as real Amrit was given to the Devas. Two Asurs, it is believed, or one Asur which is believed to have actually seen this happening, was nothing but Rahu Ketu. He went to the other line, which was the Deva line. He had the Amrit, and then Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu basically beheaded Rahu Ketu. Therefore, you get Rahu and Ketu, two very important what we call nakshatras in that regard. But the point is that Mohini, who is linked to this tradition of Vishnu avatar, the concept of enchantment. Now, tell me, if you have to enchant, which is basically put somebody in your spell, would you do very heavy movement, very quick movements, or very distracting movements? No. Rather, your movements are going to be slow. your expressions are going to be more. And therefore, it is believed that in this dance, lasya element is more than the tandava element. Last element is more than the tandava element, and it is more about expression, bhav, ras, which is emotion, and less about very heavy movement. So if you will see, a Mohiniyattam dancer, very simple, white kasavu sari, but very expensive that way. Mostly this is gold zari through which it is made. But their expressions are more, their movements are slow. So it is exactly the opposite of Kathakali that way. All woman dance, and therefore the enchantress dance, Mohiniyattam, solo and group dance both is there. Developed in 19th century properly by Veduvala and Vedivala. Rulers of Travancore, Kerala were the ones who actually used it. Again, was becoming obscure. So V.N. Menon got involved, and with Kalyani Amma, he brought it back. It has the grace and elegance of Bharatanatyam, and the vigor of Kathakali. Were very, very vigorous when it comes to their expressions, but grace is there quite a lot. Absence of thumping foots and footwork is very gentle. So when we talk about Kathakali, when we talk about Mohiniyattam, again Kerala, origin is again in temple tradition, and it is V.N. Menon and Kalyani Amma who actually revived it. The basic feature is that slow dance, expressions, unique feature, no thumping, kasavu sari, and the slow, gentle footwork. So Mohiniyattam is all female. All female. This is all male. Clear, everyone? Kathakali, Mohiniyattam coming from Kerala, any issue? Neha, see, how to figure out dance through sari? All saris look royal and almost similar. Neha, the point is, somebody who knows their saris will be offended by you saying that. A Kanjivaram sari, a Kasavu, an Adha silk, and a Banarsi sari are very, very different when it comes to their appearance. Very, very different. Literally different. Kasavu is white golden. Banarsi is known for that shine and a totally different patterning itself. Very heavy saris, but can also be very light. At the same point of time, Andhra silk and Kanjivaram are very different in texture and in the way they are using different patterning. For you, it may be similar. UPSC is not giving you a question in which they're giving you saris and you have to decide which is the dance. But if you will actually pay attention, there will be major difference. This question will be asked in pre or mains. See, there cannot be a question on write a short on Bharatanatyam. That is obviously not going to be there. But statement-based questions can come where they can give you statements or they can give you a description. Mains part, dance comes, which will be last at Tandava Nitya. It is not difficult. I am just bringing all the basic things together. The statement-based questions or a statement could be, this dance form is all male dance. It is known for its thumping action. The songs are written in Mali Pravana or Mani Pravana. Then automatically you should understand what type of dance it is. They can give you match the following. They can give you statement-based question. I'll practice certain questions with you. Let me finish these dances. And I will tell you. Don't worry. Right? Till this point, are you with me? It's not difficult. Generate interest. You will be able to understand it. That is my guarantee to you. My guarantee to you. Okay. You want a 5-minute break here? No. Okay, give me 1 second. There's a noise which is coming out from outside. Give me 1 second. Okay. Right. So let's talk about the next set. Now, Kathakali, Mohiniyattam, and no issues. We've done 4. Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Mohiniyattam, Kathakali. See. Last year, aspect dominant. Costume, off-white principal color, presence of gold color brocade, no elaborate facial makeup, and musical items you don't need to know. Popular proponents, you remember Jayaprada Menon and Sundana Nair. That's it. Now, we've done Bharatanatyam. Pay attention. We've done Bharatanatyam. We've done after Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi. After Kuchipudi, we've done Mohiniyattam and Kathakali. Are we clear with regards to this? Because now we go into the other set, Odissi, which is a very, very iconic dance, and thereafter the next 3. Okay. Now, the next dance is Odissi. Name itself gives you the name of the state, Odisha. Now, Odissi has a very troubled history in the sense that we have reference to the Odissi dance in the Udayagiri Khanderi caves, which is the Jain caves of the Odisha sector. The Karavela king, he made Odissi. So it's a very old tradition. It is even mentioned in the Natya Shastra. But the problem with Odissi is that it actually started or was practiced by Maharis, who were lower caste dancers of lower caste or Varna dancers of the Odisha sector. Later, when Vaishnavism, which is the concept of Vishnu Avatar, Bhagavatism came through in Odisha, the Mahari system, the lower Varna system, lower Varna practitioners were pushed out of the system. And thereafter, the Brahmins dressed young boys as females to take this tradition forward, who were called Gotipuas, used to then dance in the royal courts. And it is only 20th century that Charles Fabry and Indrani Rahman brought it out of its problematic history. So when we talk about Odissi's origin, it is linked to the Mahari Odissi tradition. Thereafter, when Vaishnavism comes through in Odisha, it changes its form. Gotipuas, who are Brahmin male boys, or young boys, and they used to do this dance. It is only Charles Fabry and Indrani Rahman who have institutionalized the dance. It is even mentioned in the Odissi is mentioned in Natya Shastra, and what we call as the Udaygiri Khanderi caves have paintings. So Odissi that way has a problematic history because of the Mahari linked to it, and then Vaishnavism comes through, concept of purity comes through, and that in turn leads to the problem that they were not allowed to take this tradition forward. Now, the most unique feature, which today is the feature of every dance, unique feature of Odissi, or is intrinsic to it, is called the Tribhanga position or Tribhaga position. Tribhanga position is common in all dances, but the origin is in Odissi. What is the Tribhanga position? Tribhanga position is having the lower body, upper body in 3 axes. So the first axis is this, the second axis is this, and the third axis is this. It's a very, very difficult thing to pull out, wherein your torso, your shoulder, and your face are in 3 different positions. Tribhanga, 3 parts. Odissi, that is why, is considered very difficult. And one more interesting thing about Odissi is, again, hand gestures are common, but it is known for its use of hand gestures and body manipulation to create optical illusions. An example of this would be this one. That how, through body manipulation, hand gestures and positions, the optical illusion is that the dancer's face is here. Though she's manipulated her upper body in such a way that the first dancer's face is here, but the second dancer is just behind the first dancer. This type of optical illusions are very common in Odissi. Very difficult dance to do. Again, the sari, as you can see, is quite different. It's the Odisha silk, Odissi sari in that regard. But as I said, Odissi that way is very, very iconic. First for the Tribhanga position, and other than that, it is a very difficult dance to do because of its illusions and its hand gestures in that regard. So when we talk about Odissi, use of mudras, posture to express motions and emotions. Tribhanga position, 3 blended form of body is innate to Odissi form. Chalk posture. Chalk is basically when you keep your hands on your torso, which is chalk position. Your family, your parents would have done it multiple times, looking at your attitude or looking at someone else's attitude. You would have done it looking at someone else's attitude. Basically, it's called the chalk position. Lower body mostly remains static. Only the torso moves. Basically, this part and this part doesn't move too much. It's the torso which moves the most, which is the lower abdomen in that regard. Now, hand gestures are very important to convey aspects of emotion, and dance represents water element. Gita Govinda is a very standard thing which is basically used to recite through Odissi recitals itself. Famous proponents, you can remember the ones who are not in India. Sharon Lowen, known across India, across the world as a very important Odissi dancer, and Mridul Bravi, which is from Argentina. So, well, let's talk about Odissi and its Odissi basic unique features. When we talk about basic features of Odissi is known for hand gestures to express lasya. You have water element represented in the dance. Further, there is the concept of, as I will add it to the unique features, optical illusions through body movement, Tribhanga position. Odissi, anybody any problem? Odissi, anybody any problem? I'm literally making notes for you. I'm actually literally making notes for you. I could have not done it, but I'm doing it because most of you will somehow get caught up in this whole story, and that is why I'm making the literal notes for you. Yes? Okay. Yes, for prelims, these details are important. Again, saris are same, cannot differentiate, doesn't matter. For that, you need to have an understanding of saris. Chalk position, yes, chalk position. For that, you need to have an understanding of saris, which is very difficult to teach. You have to see it and feel it to understand it. For films, these are the details which you actually have to remember. That is why I'm writing these down. If you can remember the things which I have written down, you will be able to answer all questions. I will show you that what questions can be made. Torso movement and lower body remains static. Okay. Can we now go to after Odissi? Odissi, Tribhanga is clear. Tribhanga would be a Tandava element or a Lasya element. Tribhanga is Tandava element or Lasya element. It's a Tandava element. It's literally body manipulation. It is body manipulation. Okay. Now, we go to Manipuri dance. The dancing girl of Ivy. No, that is not Tribhanga position. Sometimes people talk about it, Samita, that is a little bit too far. That's too far, taking it too far. People tend to argue, but not. It is much more, it is intrinsic. Its origin is in Odissi only. Okay. Now, let's talk about the last 3, Manipuri, Kathak and Satariya. The Manipuri dance has its origin in the Manipuri mythological tradition of when Lord Shiva and Parvati were traveling through this sector. The local Gandharvas, the local people started to dance, and that dance is Manipuri. It has its origin in the Lai Haroba festival, very famous festival of Manipur. And the tradition was kept alive with Raja Bhagchandra of Manipur, who made sure that this dance remained alive. But now Shanti Niketan, which has now got a UNESCO World Heritage tag under Rabindranath Tagore, and that is why Rabindranath Tagore was asked in this examination, this GS paper 1, because Shanti Niketan had been nominated. He was the one who kept this tradition alive till India got independence. Now, very simply, by looking at Odissi, by looking at Manipuri, you should remember only one thing: the iconic Manipuri skirt. This is it has a very technical name, which I don't know, but it has, if anybody from here from Manipur, they would have a very technical, very specific name, but we call it the iconic Manipuri skirt. And there are two types of traditions. One is this whole, what we call as Krishna and Ras Leela, but their iconic wheel and their skirt. Their writing shirt, sorry. Do I have the name? 1 second. No, female wear long skirts, no. If anybody is from that area, I would love to know it. Now, this is the first form, which is the whole elaborate form, which is the wheel and the skirt. And there is another form, which is a little bit open, which does not have the skirt itself. Wheel means that what you chuni. So very simply, the Manipuri dance is known for its beautiful costume. And by looking at the Manipuri dance itself, you can make out it's from Manipur because of its two basic, very important elements. So the basic things which you need to remember here: Manipur dance is devotional dance. Faces have thin wheel, and very simply, the wheel and the skirt are considered very important. Hand gestures are gentle. Feet movement is very important. Last and both are there. Slow, gracious movement of hand and knee position. You are using different words. That is the issue. Somebody is writing this word. Somebody is writing this. Somebody is writing this. The problem is that is why I don't trust you to Google it. I don't trust you to Google it until unless it's from a Manipuri who I get to know that what is it called. So very simply, that I will not use the term until I am 110% clear, and this happens every year. Every year, multiple terms are used. We will not use it unless we don't know the exact word coming from the region, and I don't want to disrespect anything when it comes to anybody's culture. So we will use the English term for it. But if you get to know, I want 110% confirmation what it is called, because I know these three words every time people will write, but nobody knows the exact technical term for it. The day you know it, one batch there was somebody from Manipur who did give me the right term. I was not able to write it down in the PPT, but I know it is not either. So very simply, Manipuri dance. Let's add it to our repository. Flute, other music. There are two traditions which are there in Manipur: Thangta, which is again martial arts, and we'll discuss it by the end of the day, and Sankirtana, which are influenced by the Manipur dance itself. So Manipuri, coming from Manipur, very simply, origin in the Vaishnavite tradition, Krishna Bhakti. Second basic feature would be the fact of slow, gentle movement. Ras Leela, unique feature is going to be thin wheel and long skirts. Gentle, slow movements. Manipuri. Done? Anyone? Any issue? Manipuri. No? Perfect. Then let's talk about Kathak and the most iconic person linked to it. Who is this? Yes, very good. Birju Maharaj, known for his iconic dance. Now see, the Kathak has a very interesting history. See, Kathak has its history in the Mughal tradition, origin in its Mughal tradition, and there is this concept that the clothing and movement is influenced by Mughal tradition. And the reason is that a very unique feature about Kathak is that the dancer does not use a lot of space. See, when it was performed in the Mughal Darbar, it used to be performed with people sitting on three sides and the dancer dancing in the middle. And therefore, there was a very limited space which the dancer had. And that is why Birju Maharaj had the ability to just take a small portion of the floor and dance with very heavy foot movement, dance with very good grace and within very small area itself. Kathak has this iconic thing that you don't need a very big stage for Kathak. You don't need a very big stage for Kathak. Has its origin in the Ras Leela of Brajbhumi, gets integrated into the court tradition of the Mughals. Kathak is the one who tells you the story, influenced by Persian costumes and dancing style. Lady Leela Shawki was the one who revived it in 20th century. Hindustani music has Drupad along with it. I will tell you what is Drupad. Birju Maharaj is the only name which you need to know. Lakshman Maharaj is also very famous proponent of this dance. Kathak, UP, and origin Ras Leela of Brajbhumi plus Mughal court. Basic feature: Persian costumes and style. Unique feature, small area of dance. Done? Can we go to the last one, which is Satariya? Yeah, state service. The dancers' name are important for PCS exam. Yes. No specific Mughal emperor. It becomes a part of the Mughal tradition by the time Akbar comes through. It's not that Akbar integrated it. Now, Satariya comes from Assam. But just by looking at the sari, I can make that out that it is Assam, the iconic Assamese silk. And the name Satariya comes from the Satras. Satras are when Vaishnavism, which is Vishnu Bhakti, started to spread in Assam. The places where Vishnu Bhakti was done is Satra. These are temples of Lord Vishnu. They were Satras. And the Bhakts, the Bhogots used to dance in the Bhakti of Lord Vishnu, and that dance became the Satariya dance. The hand, foot, and body movement all are linked to each other. There are rules and regulations for that, how they have to move together. So its origin is with Saint Shankaradeva and Satras in the what we call as the Assam sector, mentioned in Natya Shastra also. Takes a lot from the other folk dances of Assam, Ojhapalli, Devdasi, Vaishnavite theme. Male bhagots used to do it, now everybody does it. Different, two to three different instruments used, cymbals, manjira, drum, flute. Rhythmic dance posture, hand and gesture, and footwork together linked to each other. So you can see that there is a certain way of dancing, and there is hand, body, and foot are linked to each other. Foot are linked to each other. Strictly laid down rule for hand and footwork. They use the iconic male dhoti, the pagadi turban, along with the traditional Assamese jewelry, the guri and the chadar, which is the Patt silk, which comes out of Assam. Very iconic silk, which comes out of Assam. So the point is the gomusha. Yes, the gomusha is also used. The point is that every part of this dance is a representation of Assam itself. And what is interesting about Satariya is that out of which comes two very interesting traditions. One is called Bhavna, and the other one is called Ankainat. These are smaller traditions in Assam. And Satariya, what it does is the language of Satariya changes to a word language called Brajavali, which is Maithili plus Assamese mix. And it is a derivative form of Satariya, Ankainat and Bhavna, which are folk traditions in Assam. So just to close the loop here, Satariya, and I'll give you a break, I'll give you 15 minutes break, don't worry, I know it's heavy. Assam, this is the last major thing which we need to do. Assam, the concept is very straightforward. Origin is in the Vaishnavite tradition, and it's called the Satras. The basic features is devotional dance plus Vaishnavite theme. Unique feature. Yes, Guinness Book of Record it has gone into. Yes. Unique feature, clothing, Assamese iconic silk and dhoti, rhythmic hand and footwork, rules for hand gestures. Now, before I give you just an overview of folk, we've discussed Bharatnatyam, we've discussed Kathakali, Mohiniyattam, Kuchipudi, Satariya, Manipuri, Kathak. Anybody has any issue with Odissi? Last slide, 1 minute. This. Anybody has any issue in these fundamental 8? Fundamental 8, anybody has any issue? Which are called the classical dances of India. The two traditions which come out of Satariya are Ankainat and Bhavna. They are what are called folk dance traditions. Anybody has any issue? No, yes? Yes, no? Okay. Now, just to close the dance theme, for folk dances, I have given you these 2-3 basic things. One is this map, and obviously Bhutan is not part of India, but yeah, it was added. This map has 1 to 2 basic important folk dances of India in each and every state. Learn it when you've learned everything. This is for your understanding. Other than that, Ghumar dance of the Bhil tribe, Kalbeli, which is actually UNESCO Intangible Heritage. This is UNESCO Intangible Heritage, this is UNESCO Intangible Heritage. We discussed Chau and Kalbeli. Garba, everybody knows because of Bollywood. And Tarangamel comes out of Goa, which is a very interesting tradition. Thereafter, Dadra from Uttar Pradesh, Bhangra again people know because of its popular representation. The Gaddi dance from Himachal Pradesh, Paika and Jwara, MP, the folk dances, but within folk dances, tribal dances. I have given to you on these 3 slides. Can you, after you have mastered classical dances, discuss this section or revise this section from this? Come on. Can I close the dance topic? When I come back, I'll test your knowledge of dances. I'm giving you 15 minutes. If you want to watch videos related to these dances, sure. There's no organization which instructs them as classical dances. Government of India, Ministry of Culture recognizes them as classical dances because of the stature. And in these 15 minutes, revise, consolidate, because when I come back, I will make 2 to 3, 4, 5 questions in front of you, and let's see if you're able to answer them or not. We come back at what, 3:50, 45, 50. We come back at 3. I'll give you which slide you want to be here. We'll come back at 3:55. And when we do come at 3:55, we will revise. And then we'll talk about puppetry. Acceptable? Everybody? Okay, great. So I will see you at 3:55. Practically 4 hours it takes. Yes. Welcome. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, now let's talk about puppetry. But before we do that, some mind exercises. Are we ready for questions? Are we ready for questions? Yes, practically 4 hours it takes. Yes. Well, Samita, nothing better if you find this actually very, very interesting. Perfect. See, this is the part now. We know more about Avengers. We know if I ask you the story of Endgame, you will be able to tell me scene by scene what happened. If I ask you the story of Harry Potter, if I ask you the story of K-pop soap operas nowadays, you will be able to tell me. Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki, you will tell me what happened in Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki, what happened to me and everything. You will be able to tell me. But the point is that we don't take interest in our own culture. These are traditions. If you actually start to watch them, follow them, if you understand them, they are at a different level altogether. Different level altogether. They represent India in ways which actually the foreigners realize. So in India, a lot of foreigners come to see our culture, but we don't know about our culture. And many times people tell us, we are here to watch this. You're like, what? And then they explain to you the importance of it. That is the problem with the way of the what kind of culture we live in today. The Americanization of culture, the globalization of culture has destroyed interest in our own existence. Because when I talk about theater forms, when I talk about martial arts, they will be totally new to you. Kudiyattam, Mudiyattu, Chow, you would have no idea about them only. So that is the problem. One such area is puppetry also. Puppetry, there are beautiful traditions in India, but nobody knows about them. So let's just for once revise very standard. 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 pair, D, none. 1, 2. Come on. Perfect. Bharatanatyam, Tamil Nadu clear. These two have been reversed. So 1 pair. Okay, very good. Now, little bit difficult. Little bit difficult. Which is incorrect. Why have you incorrect? All are totally correctly matched. Bharatanatyam has Bentini. Kathakali has Manipulam as the language. Odissi is Gotipuas. Isn't it right? Incorrect. None. So if it can be Tribhanga or it can be anything, is Gotipua not linked to Odissi? Odissi, Gotipuas are linked to it, right? Then why are you cancelling it because Tribhanga is not written? I can give any option. After this morning match, it's with me only, Karthikeyan. Getting my point? So these are the type of questions they can make. They can make statement-based questions also. And I'll show you the statement-based questions tomorrow. One on Sataria has come through. Can we talk about puppetry? Are you getting my point? What to do with that information? Okay. Now, when we talk about puppetry, puppetry is a topic which mostly students leave. It's a topic which mostly students leave, but topic for input-output. The input is very less and the output is very good because you can easily get 1 to 2 questions, if not 1 to 2 options eliminated because of puppetry. There are not a lot of them. There are only total the 7 here, 10 total 10. Katputli, Kundai, Bombayata, Bombalata, Togalu Bomalata, Ravanchaya, Togalu Gomayata, Avakotu, Yampuri, and Putulach. That's it. They all come under different types of puppetry, which is string, shadow, glove, and rod. And out of these 10, if you can learn basically puppet, and state, your task is done. There is no other information you need to know. Nothing more, nothing less. Only the states needs to be known. And any type of question can come from this area, you can answer it. So when we talk about puppetry, puppets we found since very early archaeological evidences from Mohenjo-daro, Harappa. Have you seen a puppet? Have you ever seen a puppet in your life? Seen a puppet? Yes, no, yes, no, yes. So you know what I mean by puppetry. Just to give you a basic idea, this is a puppet. These are puppets, very iconic puppets from Rajasthan, Kathmandu. Now, when we talk about puppetry, puppetry has very interesting significance. The oldest text which we've seen is Shilapadikram, a Tamil classic which talks about puppetry. But marionette theatres existed since 6th century BC itself. Now the question is, what is marionette? You would have seen this in the hand of a puppeteer, and this is basically called marionette. This is what they use to control the strings, and that is why it's called marionette. It's a French word, marionette. And puppetry is controlled through marionettes. Now, Shilapadikram, Mohenjo-daro Harappa give us literary and archaeological evidences. God is seen to be the Sutradhar, or the one who controls all the strings. You don't have to know the name of the strings which he controls, but he controls the universe through his strings. In the Indian theatre, story Sutradhar is also the name of a person who narrates and holds all the strings of the actors. And puppetry is not one form. It has music, dance, drama, everything linked to it. Everything linked to it. Now the point is that, unfortunately, this point you need to understand. Unfortunately, puppeteers in India, the people who do puppetry, the puppeteers in India are literally dying. This form is most probably going to become extinct very soon. There are no takers for it. And in a world where everybody wants to make their child a doctor, engineer, and an IAS officer, there is a generational issue that people are not opting for doing puppetry. As it is, we don't give a lot of respect to these people. And COVID-19 didn't do a lot of good for them generally. And when we talk about the puppeteers and their lives, they unfortunately live in the generation of what I call the impatient generation. The impatient generation basically is the generation of people that if you had an option right now, you would make me fast forward, or at least change my speed from 1x to 3x. That why sit and listen to everything? A lot of students watch the videos later for the same reason, which is that they can increase the speed. We are the impatient generation. 10 seconds ad we cannot survive on YouTube. We don't like to sit for things, and we like options. So sitting through a dance recital or a puppetry recital or a puppetry show, I don't expect anybody is going to do today. And unfortunately, this is the truth, that puppeteers have lost their audience. They have literally become sellers of puppets. They show it to foreigners. They are literally struggling. They give a lot of employment to musicians. They give a lot of employment to people who make the costumes and the jewelry of these weavers, musicians, dancers, puppeteers, their lives, their families. Everything is connected to each other. But we don't care about them. And if it is not for UPSC, you would also not care about them. You still don't, but you just want to know about them because you can clear one question. But they hold the key to our culture. And unfortunately, this key is going to go down the drain with generations not even knowing what a puppet is. So very simply, these puppetry models and these puppetry types keep a very, very, very rich tradition in India alive. And we hope that it survives another century or so because it looks very, very non-promising. The first of our story is string puppets. This is the first type of puppets which exists. Everybody's with me to this point? No issue? Yes? Anyone any issue? Yes, sir. Okay. So, string puppetry, or what are called marionette puppets, 8 to 9 inches, made out of wood, oil color on their face, very beautiful costumes they wear, and miniature jewelry, realistic feeling to give look so that they look like men and women. And the first most important tradition, which still today exists, is called the Kathputli. What you have to remember is just this small thing, Rajasthan. That's it. Kat means wood, putli means idol, a doll. It is a very interesting, dramatic folk music-based theatre. But the most unique feature of Kathputli is the legs don't have any wood. So absence of legs. Their legs are always very free-flowing. They control the hands and the head, but not the legs. And if you look at a Kathputli, what we call as recital, it is exceptional. They have a whole setup in which the puppeteers will be standing here controlling the puppets. There will be folk dance and music around with it. Unfortunately, they have come to a point that they have to sell their puppets to the people that they can survive. And generally, they have a very limited audience in that regard. Very limited audience in that regard. But for us, Kathputli, Rajasthan is something which you need to remember. But as I said, absence of legs, the legs are always free-flowing. They control the hats. Thereafter, we move to Odisha and the tradition of Kundei. Kundei comes from Odisha. There, the legs have joints. Very, very, very intricate joints are in all four, the hands and in the legs. Strings are attached to a triangular prop. Here, the marionette is triangular rather than being four-sided. And it takes its influence from the Odissi dance. So the costumes which you see come from the Odissi dance. Then we go to Karnataka and Gomayata. Gomayata again takes a lot from the Yashgana tradition of Karnataka. Unique feature is that there is more than one puppeteer manipulating the puppet. So there will be 2 to 3 managing one puppet itself. So again, very interesting tradition from the Yashgana, small miniature Yashgana in that regard. Last is from Tamil Nadu, which is a mixture of string and rod puppetry. But the unique feature here is the heaviest marionettes in India are found in the Bommalata tradition. And this is a masterpiece in itself because you can see how beautifully they are carved and how they are controlled and how much makeup there is. Can anybody tell me Are these colors representative of something coming from Tamil Nadu? Yes, same color scheme as the tradition of Kathakali. Though it is from Kerala, the point is, in this Tamil Nadu tradition, the color scheme remains the same. The color scheme remains the same. Now, for the purpose of the examination, I've done this to you, or I've given this to you. If you revise this basic slide, your work is done, which is Kundai, Odisha, Bomalata, Tamil Nadu, and if you are able to see this, your work is done. Are you getting why I told you that the input is very, very straightforward and very less to the output is good enough in that? Because you have to only remember 4 here and their states. Clear, everyone? Rajasthan, Odisha, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. Anybody has any issue here? No? Okay. Now we move to a very unique tradition which comes from India. Bombayata main point. The main point is that multiple puppeteers on one puppet. Now, something which you would have also done in your life. Kundai is from Odisha and linked to the Odissi tradition and joins other. You would have also done it in your childhood, which is to do shadow puppetry or at least shadow projecting on walls and trying to show certain type of things on the wall when either the light is not there or generally when the light is low. Is Bombayata is no having don't push that much. Don't push that. Only the color scheme comes through. It's not about women and men. It's not related to that. No. There is the unique feature is puppeteers, unique multiple puppeteers. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. So now shadow puppetry. What they do is that they have a light source in the back, which now projects on this small or on the surface which is translucent, and they have cutouts of puppets in that regard. So shadow puppetry, flat 2D figures are there. Puppeteers use a wide screen and have a light source behind it. And in this, there are also two major types: silhouette and non-silhouette. You remember wash and non-wash? Remember wash and non-wash? This is wash, this is non-wash. Same thing. Silhouettes are nothing but when you can, silhouette is ready to wash. When you can not see through, it's called a silhouette shadow. If you can see through, it's a non-silhouette shadow. That's it. Now, first is Togalu Gombayata, which is Karnataka. This tradition, painting tradition, wash and non-wash. Wash when the painting you cannot see the background, non-wash when you can see the background. Now, why is the tradition coming from Karnataka, Togalu Gombayata so important? Because this puppetry absorbs the social practices of India. The unique feature of it is that there is variation according to social status in the size of the puppet. So you can see here that the puppet of the king and the woman have a marked difference in size. That is because women, servants, common people are shown with smaller puppets, while the kings and important people, mostly men, are shown with bigger puppets. This is called social representation in cultural traditions. So you can see that they in turn absorb this type of social discrimination. They are basically having a stick on which they have 2D cutouts. And I really recommend that you watch it once if you get time on YouTube. Multiple videos are there. Very beautiful tradition again, how they manipulate the puppets. Very beautiful tradition. And shadow puppetry generally is very interesting. If we go to Odisha, we have Ravan Chaya, and Ravan Chaya is the whole Ramayana through shadow puppets. And everything has a shadow from plants to the characters. Imagine the level of intricacy, storytelling, commitment, and the time which would have gone in making the puppets itself. Ravan Chaya represents the Ramayana in shadow puppetry. For once, imagine you have to learn 10 names and 10 state names. The people who narrate this story, who do this, how much practice, how much commitment, and after most probably, out of the puppets which I told you, except for Katputi, you don't know about any of them. I think Kundai would be totally new to you. Ravan Chaya and all these names I'm taking you've never heard in your life. That would not be a very wild guess, and I can bet on it that 50 to 60%, maybe 90% you have no idea about these traditions. And then when we talk about unity and diversity, we tend to only talk about diversity and unity in terms of religion or culture. This is the unity and diversity. That you have multiple traditions of shadow puppetry with different representation, different techniques, but the same concept itself. This is India. This is what is India. This is what makes India India. But the unfortunate truth is that nobody knows about it. Nobody knows about it. And that is the biggest issue. So for everybody, Kathputli is puppetry. 10 traditions. If UPSC drops art and culture, maybe nobody will read it also. This is sad. And if you don't feel ashamed of the tradition which we have developed today, where we don't care about our own artisans, craftsmen, and culture, we have zero guilt, unfortunately. So we are more happy about a made in India Apple phone, designed in California, made in India. But these things are truly made in India. But no one cares about them. You stand in line to get one phone. But these people perform to empty audiences and empty halls. But still, it is their commitment that they still go on. This is the sad truth about our culture. The scenes, very elaborate, very, very interesting. And again, if you get a chance, if you have some time, do watch it. Maybe that one view is going to help someone else. But the point is, having a visual memory of this is going to help you generally also. Then we go to Andhra Pradesh, Tholu Bomlata. This is classical music, mythological themes. But what they are known for are these very beautiful, very, very beautiful puppets. Very beautiful. You can see the level of intricacy that goes into making these puppets are unparalleled. That these men sit behind these puppets to tell you stories which are very important to us, but we don't hear it from these people. You can see, if you ever get a chance, do be a part of this. If you are from the state, do try to be a part of this. It will help you in understanding India. This is what makes India India. But again, for the purpose of the examination, Thogalu comes from Karnataka, Ravanchaya from Odisha, Tholu comes from Andhra Pradesh. Anybody any issue? Okay. Now the easy glove puppetry. This you would have again done in your life for sure, which is that you this has been seen since the Indus Valley civilization, which is that you wear the puppet on your arm and then you use it to manipulate the puppet itself. Small figures can have small what we call sticks inside it. Mostly the thumb and middle finger is used to manipulate the arms and is very common across different cultures. Now from Kerala comes Pava Kothu, and as I will show you, Pava Kothu basically is miniature Kathakali, and they use these small puppets to represent Kathakali and its stories, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Now, unfortunately, the unfortunate truth is that I don't know the name of these two very important personalities who should be given recognition, who should be at least given a Padma Shri or Padma Vibhushan for doing what they do, which is to keep a tradition alive for which people don't matter. Yes, Gali Gali Sim Sim, or what we call as that is the problem, which we have Sesame Street in Gali Gali Sim Sim is based on this exact concept. That you can see the beauty in these puppets itself. They are very simply small miniature Kathakalis. So headgear, feathers, and the face paints represent Kathakali, narrate the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, coming from Kerala, Pava Kothu. Thereafter, rod puppetry, one is called rod puppetry. These are big puppets, 3 to 4 feet they can be. These rod puppets are controlled by big rods. There could be one central rod on which the head is going to be there, and then there could be smaller rods to control the hands. In this, one is Yampuri, which comes from Bihar, wooden without any joints. This is the interesting thing, without any joints. They just move on the same axis itself. And then you have Putul Nach. Putul Nach comes from the Bengal, Odisha, Assam sector. Very big, 3 to 4 feet. Represent the characters of Jatra. Jatra is a folk tradition of Bengal and Odisha. Puppeteers control a single puppet with their wrist placed along the curtain, and the wrist and the waist are used. In a sense, they will have 2 hands to do it, and the waist will be used to move the puppet around. You don't have to learn that. Now, before we talk about festivals, that is the last thing I want to do. Let's consolidate. The first and foremost thing is the unfortunate truth. The unfortunate truth that these traditions are dying and we can't do anything about it. We have to inculcate it. I want you to do one thing, which is that overnight I want you to think about it, because there's a question which can come about conservation of culture. What I want from you is that you think about it, that how can we save these traditions. Tomorrow I will discuss or basically point out the standard points you have to write in that type of answer. But let's do one thing. Can we revise and then move to festivals? Again, a very small section. Students tend to complicate festivals too much. Yes? Okay. Now, let's talk about string puppetry, shadow puppetry, glove puppetry. Kathputli comes from where? Kathputli comes from Rajasthan. Kundai, very good. Odisha. Goyata. Some are writing Karnataka, some are writing Tamil Nadu. Which is it? Gombayata, Karnataka. BT. Remember it like this. This is BT GK. Thereafter, Ravanchaya we know is Odisha. Tholu Bomlata comes from where? See, there is Tholu and there's Thogalu. Again, confusing yourself. There's Tholu and there's Thogalu. So, Thogalu or Thogalu comes from Karnataka. Tholu comes from Karnataka, the Andhra Pradesh sector. So, Tholu is Andhra Pradesh. This is Andhra. And this is Karnataka. I'll give you acronyms for this also. Pava Kothu, Kerala. Yampuri, Bihar. Putul Nach, West Bengal, Odisha. Now, let's do one thing. Let's make basic acronyms. See, Kathputli everybody knows. So, KR is not an issue. Kundai, Kodh, Kun, Odisha. Now are the confusing ones because they are closer to each other. Go Karnataka. You all can say that. Go Karnataka. And Tambol for Tamil Nadu. Or you can make Bom Nadu. Thereafter, Tholu, we can make it rather like this. And Tholu, Kar, Togalu. Pava, Ker Pava, Yambir or Yambi, Put West. See, you can make better ones, you can make more comical ones, you can make anything. It's just that 10 are there and their states need to be known. I'm emphasizing on this. Go Karnataka, Tambol, which is Bomlata or Bom Nadu, and Tholu, Kar Togalu, and Tholu, Kar Togalu. So if I write now, Go, Bom, Kar, and Go will be what? Go Karnataka. Bom, Nadu, Tamil Nadu. Kar, Tholu, and Thogalu. Yes, and Tholu, Kar, Thogalu, and Tholu, Kar, Thogalu. You can make your own. Simple, straightforward are there, so it's not very difficult. So you can make, for example, you can make this also, and bomb, from taking from this. But the problem is bomb are two. That is why I'm avoiding that. So totally your call. Difficult to do it. I'm giving you ideas how to learn it. Just make one slide, one page of this, paste it where you study, and you will see that every day you will watch it and see it, and you will be easily able to answer anything. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can we move to festivals? Can we move to festivals? Okay. And use this to revise. You can put it on one map also if you want to. Totally your call. Now, so I think you agree with me that puppetry is worth it. I hope that 10 names for one question is good enough. Is good enough. That too very easy. That way. Okay. Sure, Vivek. Sure. Okay. Now the $1 million question: what to do with festivals? Because what one major mistake which students do is that they start to learn festivals and the states. Very lengthy list, and there is no end to it. See, for the purpose of your understanding, I have given you two types of lists. One in which I have state-wise, you can see, for your basic revision, and one based on their nature. One based on their nature. Now the point is what to do with this list and what to do with this information. First question is, what is the purpose and the concept or idea or way in which festivals are there in India? That is the first question. Second is, this is the most theoretical question out of which you can get a mains question. Other than that, you can have these lists. Now the point is, in India, there's something very interesting. There's something very interesting. First, let's understand the purpose. Because in this, my role is just to mark you the important ones. That is it. Because obviously you can't learn all of them. I'll tell you which ones to learn. But what is the logic of festivals in India when it comes to different religions? So, for example, within Hinduism, there's a pattern. And the pattern is that most of our festivals are linked to the agrarian cycle of India. Mostly, either our festivals are mostly during the harvesting season. So in India, you get one set of festivals which will happen in that April to March, May area, which is the cutting of the Rabi crop, or rather of the Kharif crop, and the other one comes, the Rabi crop, and the other one comes in that November-December period, Diwali and all, which is basically linked to the cutting of the Kharif crop. See, festivals need money. You need money. When you have sown your seeds and your land, you don't go around celebrating. It is only when you get bumper harvests. That is why in India, harvest festivals are very common. Baisakhi, Onam, Ugadi, all are harvest festivals. And when the second harvest comes through, we have these very big festivals, Diwali, Dhanteras. So in our Hinduistic tradition, we link it to the larger agrarian tradition of India. Within Islam, it is the moon which dictates everything. Now you tell me, if the origin of a religion is an area which is very deserty, which is in a desert, which will you find more soothing? The sun or the moon in a desert? The moon. And that is why the moon is revered in Islam. In Christianity, it is the cycles related to Jesus Christ, which is his dying for everybody's sin, his resurrection, Good Friday, and Christmas, which is his birth. See, if you look at the traditions which are there when it comes to festivals of India, every religion has its logics. But festivals have three main purposes, be it any religion. Be it any religion, three main purposes there. The first one is called commemoration or celebration. We all come together. We celebrate our culture. For some of you, it may be the only PT period in which you go and meet your friends, your family. It's a celebration of one's culture. It's a celebration of how we live, what we are, who we are. But this celebration has two hidden purposes behind it. Second is propagation. The third is preservation. When you become an adult, does anybody need to tell you how does Eid happen? How does Diwali, which type of puja you need to do at Diwali? How do you celebrate Baisakhi? When and what you need to do in that festival? What are the traditions linked to that festival? Do you need to be told or taught this? What you need to do at a festival? Rangoli has to be made. What type of rangoli has to be made? Are you told that your parents sit and tell you this is what you will do in this festival, this is what you will do in this festival? No. Just by celebrating as a child, you see how it is done. So it propagates culture to next generation. To next generation. So the generation after generation after generation, they celebrate so that it propagates. But if festivals were not there, culture would never get preserved. You tell me how many times you wear that traditional dress which comes from your state. Be it a sari, be it a kurta, be it anything. You tell me how many times do you eat that dish if it is not for the festival in which you have to eat it mandatorily. If these festivals are not there, culture is not preserved. Preservation of culture happens through festivals. We tend to now become that generation. What's the point? Let's not waste water on Holi. It was never about Holi, was never about water. It was rather about a larger story, a larger tradition linked to it. It was about that moment. It was about the gastronomy. It was about what you eat. We have distorted Diwali. Diwali was never about crackers. As it is, original Diwali was only on what are called diyas. The tradition of using crackers, which is these anars, these chakris, actually Mughal, the artillerymen were very good in manipulating chemicals and barud. They were the ones who actually developed these crackers. So Akbar loved Diwali quite a lot. And that is why he said to his artillerymen that I want a anar, I want a chakri. These chemical combinations which could actually make it were not something originally part of it. But now it has become an integral part of our culture. Understand it. All tribal festivals preserve their culture and identity. It is about preservation of identity and culture. And you need to show it to your next generation what it means to be from Maharashtra, what it means to be from, for example, Odisha, or what it means to be a Hindu, what it means to be a Muslim, what it means to be a Christian, what it means to be a Buddhist, what it means to be a Jain. These are meaning-based preservation. There's a very big consideration right now that why do we spend so much on 26th January or 15th August? Because they are festivals. They preserve the identity. More than that, 26th January and 15th August are reminders that what you and me take for granted are freedom. The fact that today if I do something to you, you can go and stand and protest, that was never the case. The British were here. Our freedom, people lost lives. They gave up their lives. They lost their blood for the freedom on which you live today. The constitution which you criticize today or actually say should be changed was produced in a context in which India was literally in an economic, political and social crisis. That is the reminder. And that is why 14th August has now also become a very important reminder for the partition day. Because people lost lives literally on the day of independence. So these days which are there, these festivals which are there, they're not innocently randomly there because people have been doing it. They have a purpose. And that purpose is to preserve the Indian identity, is to preserve your identity, is to preserve cultural identity. So very simply, understand this point that there is much bigger concepts which are at play when it comes to these concepts. Yes? Now, if they ask you a mains question on the purpose of festivals, you can write on these 3 points: commemoration, propagation, preservation. Yes? Okay. Now the $1 million question, what to do with this information? Now my basic request is going to be, come to it when you have nothing to do and concentrate on festivals which are tribal festivals. Which is, for example, you have Arunachal Pradesh, Solung Adi tribe, Murung Aptanis, Re Idumishmi, Galo tribe, Mopin, Aptanis, Dri, Monpa. These are the festivals which you concentrate on because these are harder to ask in the examination. So not every state is going to have it. But for example, very standard Bihu, Diwali will never be asked because that's too easy. So what you do is that you go through these festivals. Mostly in the tribal states you will have more. For example, Bastar Dashera is very important, 75 days of Dashera. You have different ones related to Jammu and Kashmir. These are all related to the Tibetan concept of the Vajrayanic Buddhism, which is there in the Leh-Ladakh sector. So this is basically Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, the 2 UTs. So what I want from you is that you can just note down the ones which are related to tribes, concentrate on them: Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland, the Garo tribe, the Bangala festival, Chapkarlat, and Chapkarkat. The next one being the most important, for example, Halai Haroba. Remember these ones, and that should be enough. That should be enough for any question which is asked. Batukama is the latest one edition with Telangana's creation, important. And generally you can make a list of it. Chhat Puja are all very standard, very standard. Chhat, Diwali, very standard things. Simple point is, do not die over this list. What I want from you is very simply straightforward. Just go through it once. Important for interview. Remember the purpose of festivals. But as I said, tribal festivals are important. Tribal festivals are important. Done? Acceptable? Get my point? What to do with this? My job is to tell you what to do with this list. So I think that is more than enough for the discussion with regards to festivals. Yes? So when we come back at 5:30, we will discuss martial arts tradition. Then we will discuss Indian music. I'll make you listen to music. Diwali is not one state. Diwali is across India. Then we'll discuss theatre forms. And I think these are the 3 topics we'll be able to cover. Very beautiful traditions again. Handicraft is something, if needed, we will cover. That is the last thing which we do today. So I think this is more than enough. We have to discuss handicrafts, theatre, martial art, music. I'll see which 2 to 3 which we can do. Other we'll do tomorrow. Everybody's with me to this point? No issues. These are the topics which used to basically trouble you. I hope that you used to know what to do with dance, what to do with puppetry. Now I'm telling you what to do with it. Where I have a role of telling you something, I will. As I said, Himanshu, Diwali is not any specific state. It's every state in India. These are pan-Indian festivals. Diwali, Eid, these are pan-Indian festivals. Can we take a break now and come back at 5:30? Right? Yes, Ankit, both areas. Puppetry consolidated slide you want to see. This is the slide you want to see. This. See, is this working? Please tell me. Art and culture, descriptive part, films oriented part. Are you getting the point of this discussion? Yes, sir. Greatly, sir. Okay. So then I'll see you at 5:30. See you.